Welcome to Northeast Current. My name is James May, and I'm the Regional Press Director for the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. We are here today at Abington Christian Academy in Clark's Green, and obviously this is a very different type of school because you guys have a fireplace here in the school. I think that's really neat, and we're here to talk about teen driving and safety on the roads, but we are intentionally meeting and talking with a group of students who I think most of you, if not all of you, don't even have your license yet. Does anybody here have your driver's license? Anybody have a permit? One. Ellie, you've got your permit. How long have you had your permit so far?
3 months.
So you got your permit back in, when was your birthday?
September 11th.
September 11th. Now, were you one of those people that went right down to the DMV the day of your birthday? I see your head shaking, yes. So you went down right away to the DMV and said, here I am, today's my birthday. Was it on your birthday? On your birthday, you went down. How many of the rest of you foresee yourselves as like, today is my birthday, I'm going to blow out my candles and drive down to the DMV, and I'm going to get my license? Okay, most of you, a couple of you are not. You didn't raise your hand. Why are you saying, how old are you, first of all?
I'm 14.
So you're 14 years old, and you said that you don't foresee yourself like blowing out the candles, open the presents, and running down to the DMV. Why is that? Why did you say no?
I don't think I'd be ready to drive yet.
Okay, you don't think you're ready to drive yet. Well, one of the things we want to talk about is the importance of safe driving, the importance of being safe behind the wheel, whether you're a driver or a passenger. And as we look at this, we're obviously talking with people who don't even have your license yet. Why do you think it's important to talk to you about safe driving before you even get your license? Any thoughts on that? Why would we want to talk to you about this safe driving thing before you have your license? Yeah.
Because we could already be forming habits, so we need to keep those.
Good. You end up forming the habits. What are some of the habits that you would see? What are some of the things that you learn from other people? And let me ask this first. Who do you think is influencing you the most on your driving habits?
Probably your parents.
Probably your parents. Anybody else? How many of you would say that my parents have the biggest impact on me forming good driving habits? How many of you? You can raise your hand, get them up there, okay. So most of you, if not all of you, said that the biggest influence that people would have on you as far as safe driving habits is your parents. We at PennDot, we can come in all day long and talk to you about, here's 7 reasons that you need to make sure you're safe behind the wheel. But it's really going to be your mom and dad, your parents, those that are driving you around the most who are going to have the biggest impact on you. What do you guys see as some of the biggest distractions when it comes to driving? When we look at the whole topic of teens behind the wheel, we're going to be talking with a patrolman here in a little bit from South Abington Township. And there's a lot of distractions that cause accidents. What do you see as some of the distractions? Anthony, what do you see as one?
Phones, probably the biggest one is phones.
I would guess, how many of you would say that probably the biggest distraction out there right now is cell phones behind the wheel? Good. What are some of the other distractions that you would see behind the wheel?
Radio.
Radio. I remember, like, personally, I can tell you, a number of years ago, a girl ran in the back of me because she was messing with her radio, and I saw her going about 45 miles an hour from about 100 feet back. 50 feet back, she was going about 45 miles an hour. 20 feet back, she was going about 45 miles an hour, and at about 10 feet back, she started slamming on her brakes because she was messing with her radio. So good example. What else? What else do you see as some of the other distractions?
Other people in the car with you.
Other people. Why would other people in the car with you be a distraction?
A lot of the times you want to show off in front of your friends.
Yes. A lot of times you want to end up kind of showing up. Any other reasons that you would foresee as when other friends are with you? Were you going to say another reason? Okay. What else could possibly be if you have other friends in the car with you? Why could that be a negative thing as well?
They could be really loud and distracting, and you wouldn't be able to focus on the roads or the signs.
You're telling me that teenagers could be really loud and distracting? Really? Is that really what you're telling me? Yes, I think every mom and dad out there would probably agree with that statement, that sometimes teens can be rather loud and distracting. We talked before about the fact that it's parents who have the biggest impact on us when it comes to learning safe driving habits, or, as Anthony said, learning unsafe driving habits sometimes. what message do you think is sent? And I don't want you to give any specifics on your parents, but what message is sent when a parent says, I want you to do this, this, and this when you get behind the wheel, but I don't do this, this, and this? What message is sent? I saw you take a breath. That means you're about to answer, doesn't it?
That it's okay for us to not follow the laws.
Okay. That it's okay for me, but if they're doing it, it's okay for me to do this type of thing, but it's not okay for you to do, or vice versa. I don't have to do this, but I want you to do this. Okay. I will say it because you guys didn't. It means that parents are being a little hypocritical there when we say to you, I want you to do this, but I'm not going to do it. What else? When parents are saying, this is what I want you to do, but I don't do that, what other impact does that have? Yeah.
That it's not important.
Good. You essentially say it's not. This really isn't that important. If I say to you, don't text behind the wheel. I say to you, don't speed. I say to you, wear your seatbelt all the time. But I end up not doing that. You're right. Exactly. What I'm saying to you is this is really not that important that you have to do that. So as parents, one of the things we want to be emphasizing for those that are watching at home is we are greatly influencing, even students who are not driving yet, we are greatly influencing you all as the future drivers. A few years ago, my middle son went to get his permit, like Ellie has, and went to get his permit. And I was talking to him about the importance of being safe. And I was going through, and our job at PennDot is we go through the news clips every day. Usually Mike goes through the news clips every day. And the toughest part of our job is about once a week, if not more, we'll see a story of somebody who was in an accident right here in the area, was in a car accident, and it will say they were speeding, or it will say they were drinking and driving, or it will say they were not wearing their seatbelts, or it will say that they were texting and driving, or a combination of all of those. And I was telling my son, I said, if you would just remember these 4 things, probably 90% of the accidents could be avoided. And as I was going through them, it made me think of an acronym, and I sort of put them in. I said, so when you go to pass your license, when you go to pass your test, I want you to remember PASS. What do you think the P would stand for in the importance of driving? Yes, Ellie?
Phones.
Phone. Make sure you put your phone in the back seat. Now, I always say put it in the back seat. Why do you think I would say put it in the back seat and I don't say just leave it at home? Why would we say leave it in the back seat?
Because when it goes off, we have the natural instinct to just pick it up, see who it is, and whether or not it was urgent.
Exactly. I don't know. There's something about the cell phone that when it beeps or buzzes or dings or whatever your cell phone does, that you instinctively look over to see what it is. So don't even put it up there next to you. Put it in the back seat. Now, why would I say put it in the back seat and not say to you, leave it at home?
If you break down, you need some way of contacting people.
Good. I want you to have your phone with you, but I don't want it to be right there where you're able to look at it. So a good habit is for your phone to be in the back seat. Alcohol, make sure you never, ever get in the car with somebody who has been drinking or drugs or is impaired in any type of manner. Make sure that you don't even get in the car with them. Obviously, make sure that you don't. You need to make sure that you're being extra careful on the roads because, unfortunately, there are other people out there who have been drinking and driving. So the second A is alcohol. Drugs, any of that, make sure that you avoid anything. And that would even go for like NyQuil or Tylenol PM, anything that's going to distract you from driving and anything that's going to impair your ability to stay focused. Make sure that you avoid that. S, what do you think one of the S's could stand for? I saw you take a breath. That means you're about to answer. PASS, what do you think an S would be?
Speeding.
Speeding. Make sure you slow down and follow the speed limit. And then the last S, I'll give you a clue. We're in the midst of our Click It or Ticket campaign. What could the last S be?
Seatbelt.
Seatbelt. Make sure that you always buckle up. So for you guys, as you go to either do you know when you're going to go to take your actual license yet? How much longer do you have?
I scheduled it for March 18th.
March 18th. So stay off the roads on March 18th, ladies and gentlemen, because Ellie is getting her driver's license then. But whether you're going to get your license, whether you're going to get your permit, or then eventually for all of you probably to get your license eventually, remember those 4 things. PASS, phone, put it in the back seat. Alcohol, never ever drink and drive, get in the car with somebody who has been impaired. S, make sure you slow down, follow the speed limit. And the second S is to make sure that you wear your seatbelt. After the commercial break, we're going to have a chance to talk with Patrolman Silverstein, who is with the South Abington Police Department, and we're going to have him come back and talk to us a little bit from the legal side of stuff, what happens if you are out texting and driving or not wearing your seatbelt, and what happens from the legal side of stuff. So we'll take this break, and we'll be right back after these commercial messages. Welcome back to Northeast Current. We're continuing our topic here at the Abington Christian Academy in Clark's Green, where they have a fireplace in their gymnasium, which is really neat. And we're talking about safety on the roads and talking with a group of teenagers who, with the exception of Ellie, don't even have their permit. Ellie has her permit, and the rest of you don't even have your driver's license. But we're talking because we want to emphasize before you get your license, to make sure that you understand safe driving habits going into the whole time when you end up getting your driver's license. We're here with Patrolman Silverstein with the South Abington Police Department. From your end, what do you see as some of the most prevailing issues that teenagers face when it comes to unsafe driving habits?
Yeah, I think that there's a number of issues specific to junior drivers. I think probably the one that we see most often for you guys is going to be texting and driving. With it being 2015, you guys are on your phones a lot. There's a lot of social media. There's different things that can be offered as distractions from your cell phone. And I think by far, that's what we run into more than anything else.
Now, texting and driving, and maybe you can talk about the difference between a primary offense and a secondary offense. Texting and driving, I understand, is a primary offense, correct? And can you talk about what is a primary offense and what is a secondary offense, and maybe even reference the seatbelts for these guys as well?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, well, when we say primary offense or secondary offense, what that means is a primary offense is something that when we witness that in itself would be enough reason to pull you over, okay? You could receive a citation for a primary offense. A secondary offense would be, let's say, if your parents were driving down the road and they weren't wearing their seatbelt. If they were pulled over for a violation such as speeding, they could be cited for the speeding, and if we notice that they weren't wearing their seatbelt, a secondary offense would be the fact that they're not wearing their seatbelt. But for you guys, for junior drivers, a primary offense could be a seatbelt violation. If we were traveling one way on a road and we saw you coming the other way, and you weren't wearing your seatbelt, just for that reason alone, you could be pulled over and cited for not wearing your seatbelt because it's just that much of an important issue.
I often say to people that despite what the fine is, and many times the fine is relatively low, it might be $50 for texting and driving, but then you throw in all the court costs, throw in everything else that goes with it, and all of a sudden you're paying a pretty good chunk of money out of your allowance. But beyond that, with a lot of these things, if you're texting and driving especially, the impact that it would be on your life, if for the rest of your life you knew that you killed or injured somebody because of a decision that you made. And I'm guessing that you guys probably see that all too often, that people are making those poor decisions, and as a result, lives are dramatically changed forever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a lot of drivers, whether it be juniors or adult drivers, I think a lot of people do become concerned about the fines, and as Mr. May said, they can be costly. But at the end of the day, you have to remember that the reason that those are there are so that we can make the road safer, make it safer for you guys. In the long run, the damage that you could do far outweighs any kind of fine that you're going to receive for the ticket.
I think there were a couple questions that some of the kids were asking before you came up here. Damien, you had a question. Grab the mic there. What was your question that you had?
Now, while you're at a stoplight, can you text or can you not?
No. While you're at a stoplight, you have to understand you're still considered the driver of the vehicle. You're in operation of the vehicle. So those same rules that apply while you're actually driving and moving down the road are still going to apply to you even when you're sitting at a red light.
That's a good question, because I think a lot of people think that, okay, I'm stopped here, I'll pull over and I'll text real quick while I'm at the stoplight, but you're still in violation of the law. Anthony, you had a question as well.
Yeah, when you're like in really thick traffic or at a really long stoplight, I've seen a lot of people do this. Can you like unbuckle and get around and move about your car, or like get out and just, say hi to somebody?
It's a good question. Actually, it falls under the last question. It's the same thing. You're still in operation of the vehicle. You're still subject to following the rules of the road. When you're in the vehicle and you're traveling down the road, and even if you do come to a stoplight, even if it is a lengthy stoplight, you still need to be safe. You still need to be buckled up. And I think in particular with seatbelts, Just because of the fact that you're sitting there still doesn't mean that the driver behind you is going to necessarily be sitting still. So you still need to be buckled up just to ensure your safety.
I'm guessing that probably a lot of the accidents happen when one person is sitting still and the person behind you is not. You see a lot of these rear-end type of crashes that take place. Ellie, you had a question as well, I think, on the junior driver. And you're our one with a permit, so you're the one who has the most vested interest in what you can and can't do as a new driver. What was your question?
I'm just curious as to, I saw that while you have your junior's license, you can't drive out of state. And I'm just curious, why is that?
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of rules that are specific for junior drivers that are more strict than what they are for adult drivers, okay? And that would be one of them. Now, if you have an adult with you, if you have your parent or guardian with you, then certainly you'd be able to drive wherever you need to drive as long as you have them with you. And it pertains to, like I said, a lot of other laws as well. The fact that you guys have restrictions on what times of the night that you can drive. These are just all things that were put into place specifically until you guys gain some more experience and get more comfortable behind the wheel, just to ensure, just add that little bit extra safety measure, make sure that you guys are okay.
I always tell people that the scariest day of my life, and I spent time in the military, spent time over in Iraq, but still the scariest day of my life was the day that my oldest son got behind his car, drove to the end of the driveway, and hung a left and started going down the road. One, I was scared for him, but two, I was scared for all the other drivers on the road because I'm thinking, oh, those poor drivers out there, because there goes my son and he's now driving. And I'll tell you, it's a very scary time for a parent to let our young people get behind the wheel and go. But these laws that are in place, one, they are to help keep you safe. So we don't want you driving real late at night, because that's when a lot of the crashes take place. It's a primary offense to not wear your seatbelt, to be texting and driving. Those are there for your safety, but they're also there for the safety of other people on the roads as well. So our goal in all of this is to try to keep you guys safe. Our goal today is to try to help you begin now, even before you go to take your permit, or even before you go to get your license, any of this stuff, that you understand the importance of safe driving and being safe behind the wheel. Our goal is also for people at home who are watching, who are parents, to understand the awesome responsibility that we have as parents to make sure that we're being safe. If you ever come up to a driver who's maybe going a little slower than you think they should be going, or maybe not doing everything exactly right, keep in mind they might be one of these young people who are just learning to drive, so please be patient, give them the room, and just be a safe driver out there. And as far as the parents go, we need to make sure that we are setting the example, that we're not telling our children, here's what I want you to do, here's what I want you to not do, but I'm going to just do the opposite. So make sure that we're being safe out there on the highways. And on behalf of Patrolman Silverstein, on behalf of Michael Toludo, who is our safety press officer at PennDot and Ion TV, I want to thank you guys for joining with us here at Abington Christian Academy. I want to thank you guys for participating with us in this sort of roundtable discussion about how we can be safe on the roads. If you have any questions in regards to this, or if you would like for either Mike Toludo or me to come out and to speak to your school about other safe driving habits and how to be safe behind the wheel, you can always email me at jamay@pa.gov, or you can call me directly at 963-4044. On behalf of all of us, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be right back.